Okay, so welcome to the discovery call for the Bali Midlife Women's Retreat Spread Your Wings. I'm Tanishka, your host, and I'd like to introduce Priya, who will be um, both supporting, but she's also a yoga teacher um, who really has been prepared for this event so beautifully. Do you want to explain um, the experience that you've had with women in midlife doing yoga, Priya?
Yeah. Most of my teaching years, I've only taught people around 20 to 30 years old in yoga studios. But suddenly, when COVID came and we had to stay in the house, uh, most of the women in my family were midlife, over 45. So I had the blessing and opportunity to teach them every day, every single day for 1 hour, for 90 minutes sometimes. So I've seen the power it gave when I held space for them. It's more of a women's circle along with movement.
Mm.
The way they shined, the way they got strength from that space, and the way they moved. We even did some supporting stretches with each other.
Oh, nice. Because you can go so much deeper. Like that's
Yeah,
how I got into yoga. I was in my early 40s, and I remember one day lifting my leg, and I have a disintegrated disc at L5 and scoliosis in three places. So I've always had stiffness in my lower back.
yeah,
And I couldn't get my leg up to get into the hole of my underwear. And it was
yeah,
like, shit.
yeah,
And it was like, you got to do something. Like, this is not good,
yeah,
And there was a lovely friend I had called Sunny, and she came and did yoga massage. So she'd get me into a pose, and then she would massage my body to relax into the pose.
yeah.
Bless her, that opened the door to yoga. So I'm so glad we're going to do some supported stretches.
Yeah, assisting, stretching into assisting, it would be so surprising how deep you can go into a stretch if you have the right assist and right touch. And even if you're doing with your partner, anyone that you select in the retreat session, I will be there to support you to how to assist each other. So
Mm.
I'm really looking forward to it because that's one of my best uh, time I spent with my family, seeing that women shine through and gain strength and flexibility. That's one of my favorite period teaching yoga. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, Priya, my heart just expands like being in your presence. Like your heart is so pure. It's just lovely. So I'm looking forward to spending a week with Priya, let alone in Bali, let alone with Janice, my old housemate from Byron Bay in Australia, who's coming to teach the tarot. And I've got another dear friend, Kate, coming from the UK. So it's like, come and hang out with me and my friends, like beautiful. So
Mm.
I've got a presentation which I'm just going to share. And this is just a walkthrough of what we're going to cover today. Now, can you give us a thumbs up if you can see the image on the screen? Can you see that? Yeah? Okay, cool, great. So I'll just turn my music down. So it says 8 days, but it's a week-long retreat because we'll be meeting on the mainland and then going over to a remote island. Because my first time in Bali in 2008 was an absolute life changer. I came back 8 foot tall. It's such a special land. It's known as the island of the gods, and it teaches us how to live like gods. I have practices now because of my time in Bali, and I lived in Bali for 2 years in 2018 and 2019. And I've even seen people not age in Bali, and then when they leave, they age because there's so much Kundalini with the live volcano, Mount Agung. And I think there's another live volcano too, isn't there, Priya? Do you know?
Yeah, Butter, Mount Butter.
Batur is as well. I didn't realize that was. I see, I see. I've got it on the list of things to do. So there's so much Shakti, so much goddess mojo, Kundalini energy that it's so easy to awaken your power there. And that's why I led goddess retreats there that were sellout events. We capped it at 22 women every year, but we're sold out every year. And the energy in Bali, very scorpionic. And it really helps to initiate you into the mysteries of Kali Ma. So into the deep feminine, which is how we awaken to our power by going in and reclaiming the parts that aren't integrated. So the parts that we haven't yet explored so that we're more whole. And that's really what holistic approach is all about. So yeah, I fell in love with Bali in 2008, and I've forgotten how many times I've been there since, but it's like I need to go there every year. Like I literally go and fill my cup at the island of the goddess. So if you haven't been, yeah, this is. And Gili Meno, the word Meno means moon. So that's our destination. It's one of the three Gili Islands. And I went to Gili Meno in 2018 for the first time and fell in love with it. I was only going to go for 5 days and I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm not ready to leave. And so I stayed for 12 days on my own in a little bamboo hut right on the beach. And every morning at 8 o'clock, you could set your watch by it. I'd go and rent a pair of flippers and a snorkel and waddle out and just swim into the ocean, and within 1 minute, I was amongst schools of incredibly coloured tropical fish, huge sea turtles, which can grow to 75 years of age. It was Aphrodite. And I went, right, I'm going to run a women's retreat here one day. But there was no venue. There's only donkey and cart on that island. And now there's a venue there. So I'm so excited to finally be bringing a group of women in 2025 to Gili Meno. And unlike the mainland, it's unspoiled. So the first time I went to Bali in 2018, coming from Australia, where, we're spoilt with the beaches in Australia. My favourite beach is 7 kilometres long, Lennox Head, and just coral, you know, powdery sand. And I went to Bali and I was like, the beaches are filthy. Like, what's the deal? And of course, it's the people. The people are so in their heart. And because it's 6 degrees south of the equator, their balance of feminine masculine energy is exquisite. They are sacred people, beautiful people. Even if they're doing the most mundane job, they do it with a dignity that is humbling. So to experience the people of Bali is another huge gift. But yeah, Gili Meno is pristine, beautiful clean beaches, turquoise waters. So that's our destination. So, what are we going to cover in this session? Who this event is for, what to expect and what you'll gain, what's included and what's not included, getting there and arrival info, and additional cultural or destinations, experiences that you might want to include, and tips if it's your first visit to Bali. Becky, since you're on the call, is it your first trip to Bali, love? I'll just get you to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, it's not my first trip to Bali. My uncle lives on Nusa Lembongan.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but I've only been once. So
Okay.
I did go for 3 weeks, but I didn't explore very much. I did go to Kuta and
Yes.
like we went to a couple he in on the mainland. He took me to a few little touristy spots, but then
Look,
just whizzed me over to the island and
nice.
surfer. So it was lots of surf beaches and I had the best time. I just relaxed.
Amazing. Ho to you that you can surf. I can only boogie board. I don't have the thigh
I
muscles
can't.
to do the lunge. Oh, you don't surf. But I love boogie boarding, and you can rent boogie boards. But Nusa Lembongan is a beautiful, beautiful island. Again, that pristine, turquoise water and white coral sand beaches. I stayed at Dream Beach where there's cobras. Had quite an initiation when in 2018 on my own before it was developed. Yeah, amazing.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was there 2016, I think. 20,
Beautiful.
2015, yeah. And it was
Okay.
apparently got a lot more popular now, he's told me, so you wouldn't recognize it. But he has a boat
Yeah.
and he took lots of remote islands and places like,
Oh, wow. Oh, you got the best of it. Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah.
So, um, first of all, who this event is for. Now, I did have, 40 plus women, and I had someone reach out to me and say, look, I'm actually like dealing with Saturn return, turning 30, but I feel so called to come to your retreat. And I was like, okay, who am I to stand in the way if your heart says I need to be there? So, midlife, yes, this is curated specifically for women that are journeying midlife, which is defined technically as 40 to 60 years of age, but the astrological transits start at 36. A lot of women enter perimenopause at 36. So I've kind of just broadened it. Essentially, your heart knows whether or not you're meant to be there, you know? So, it's for any woman who feels that it's time to create change, positive change, and feels like, oh, I need to get away, I need some perspective, because that is the gift of getting away from our own laundry basket, and our own mundane chores, is that it does give us perspective on our lives. But if we just go away for a holiday, it can be like, don't quite know how to, you know, process the changes that I need to make. So to have a program that's a step-by-step structure on how to do a life review and restructure your life so that it's really meeting your needs on a soul level, that's the aim of this. So, um, you know, midlife is when we expand. It's our second maidenhood. And so there's a sense of, oh, freedom. It's when a lot of women that have had the journey of motherhood start to reclaim more autonomy again because their children are more autonomous. It's also when we see more divorce happen at any other time. It's when women often have, and this is true in my case, the confidence to travel. I didn't have the confidence to travel as a younger woman. I had a case of xenophobia inherited from my dear father, which is a fear of not surviving in other cultures. So, this is a way of giving women an opportunity to step out of their comfort zone. And often, if their partner, maybe their husbands or wives don't want to go with them, it's like, no, I don't want to go. If you want to go, go do your thing. But it's a time when, yeah, we get a sense of it's now or never, you know. Um, I'm getting older, and while I'm still good to go, I want to go and see the world, or I want to go to those cultures that have always called to my soul. And I believe that's because they hold a fragment from a past life. And that by visiting those cultures that call to our soul, we reclaim parts of ourselves. But visiting feminine cultures, sacred cultures, my two favorites being Bali and Morocco, is so profound for women that have grown up in a Western culture because you can't put your finger on it till you're immersed in it. And then, like one of the things I love about Bali is you see women literally blossom, like they dare to express their feminine. Their diva comes out, so they wear really flowing feminine clothes, colorful clothes, you know, ostentatious jewelry, and it's we don't do that so much in the West, and it's because we want to be taken seriously in a man's world, or you know, or we don't want to attract too much male attention and then have to, constantly be asserting boundaries and, whereas in Bali there's a safety, and it encourages the feminine to come out and be seen. So, yeah, this event is for women that are ready to say yes to a bigger life, to their best possible life. So this is about filling your cup with inspiration, which means in spirit, to have spirit fill your vessel, and to connect and share with women in a really relaxed and authentic way. Anyone that knows me, I am a balance of sacred and profane, so I will fart and swear as well as hold space in a really deep, sacred way. And I love that I'm both, you know. I call myself the Steve Irwin of goddesses. I'm ochre. I'm very Aussie. So I'm really big into authenticity, and it's not about being holier than thou. It's about us showing up and just being who we really are without the social mask. And when that happens, magic happens. We connect at such a deep level, and bonds of sisterhood are forged that last a lifetime. Every retreat I've run, there are lifelong friendships that happen out of it. So, yeah, just know that's the space that we're setting up, the container that we're setting up. And I always honor people's sovereignty. You're your own authority figure. So if there's anything you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. It's not a cult, It's not like, well, we're all doing this. Um, if there's ever a session you don't want to do, or, you totally make your own calls, all right? Because really, this is about us stepping into our queendom. So we honor that. This is giving yourself a week away from distractions, away from being pulled by others' energy fields, to just focus on your needs, to fill your cup and to explore your untapped potential. Because that is part of midlife in terms of women's mysteries. When we look at the paths that we didn't walk, and those aspects that didn't get expressed, this is an opportunity to give them a voice, as well as explore possibilities to live our best life. It's also an opportunity to acknowledge what we've outgrown. Just like kids need bigger shoes, if we're doing the work, if we're maturing, then our life is going to need to change. And that's a wonderful thing. It means that we've grown. It's not a bad thing. But we still need midwifery, soul midwifery support to do that, because it's big. So what to expect? Well, it's more than just a time out. So, often you might get temporary relief if you go on a holiday, or if you go away and just do yoga and meditation. I mean, it's wonderful to go and, you know, do yoga and meditation for a week. I'm not dissing that. But when we add to it the psychological processes to do that inventory, to do that life review, and to address, with sharing circles, with journaling, with art therapy, with ceremony, then we've got real inner transformation. So that's the point of difference. And that's something I've got 28 years experience leading people through transformative processes. So this is the midpoint of our life's journey. So just as if you were walking up a mountain, you might stop halfway and turn back and look at how far you've come. So it's also an opportunity to acknowledge your wins, acknowledge who you've become now, what you've learnt, um, as well as to identify, that's no longer working for me. And the beauty of doing it together is we're all mirrors for each other. So it accelerates like a centrifugal force how much insight you can get into where you're at when you're hearing parts of your story mirrored back, as well as insights and lessons learned. So the feminine is the chaos principle. So the masculine is structure. And of course, the soul, we're all feminine and masculine. But as we age, we have no choice but to surrender and accept we are feminine. That's the body we chose to incarnate into and the lessons that we chose to master. And what I mean by that is there are 4 life stages in women's mysteries: the maiden, which is akin to spring; the mother, which is akin to summer; the mage or magus, which is akin to autumn, which is midlife; and then the crone or the elder woman, winter. And if we think about spring and summer, it's like the waxing moon, but in this case, it's the sun and it's outward energy. So it's no surprise that in a patriarchy, the maiden and the mother are celebrated. Yeah, you're celebrated for being a sexual, nubile young thing. You're celebrated for bringing through heirs. But the more feminine months, which is the turning in, the autumn and the winter, not celebrated in a patriarchy. So it's important that we remember woman is a mystery. And when we view midlife through the rational material lens, we do ourselves a great disservice. And this is why I'm so passionate about initiating women into the mysteries in midlife. And some of the ways we do that is by looking at the astrological transits that initiate us in midlife. And there's an article on 7 signs that you're having a midlife crisis that I wrote that got published yesterday. So I'll send that out as a follow-up. So I didn't realize I was having a midlife crisis really until last year. And then I went, oh, that's what the last 15 years have been. I see. And, there's I suppose this kind of idea that a midlife crisis is a man driving around in a red sports car with a pretty young thing who's young enough to be his daughter. And because I didn't fit that image, I didn't understand that I was actually having a midlife crisis. And of course, crisis means danger and opportunity, but it's a crossroads. So at a crossroads, it's a turning point. It's a pivotal coordinate, and the choices we make are going to set the trajectory for the next chapter of our lives. So it is very important, and we can feel the gravitas, we can feel the importance, the weight of that. So, as well as the astrological transits, and I'll be asking for everyone's birth dates so that those are also personal insights as well, as general transits, but also the archetypal teaching. So that's something that, you know, is my specialty. So I've written books on the archetypes that govern the 7 major energy centers, and there are certain archetypes that are more dominant in our psyche. An archetype is a psychological aspect. So like the warrior, the warrioress, or the inner nurturer, or the wild woman, or the muse. So that's what I mean by an archetype. So, and one of the ways that I'll impart insights into our lessons at this time in our journey is through storytelling. So just like our mums and our nanas read us fairy tales, fateful tales, that's how women's wisdom teaches, how the Grail, the mystic tradition of the feminine, teaches through medicine parables, stories that, as the Irish say at the end of telling a story, and now where do you see yourself in that story? And then we deconstruct that. So if you love the book by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run with the Wolves, you will love this retreat because, we journey through story. And at the end of hearing the story, before we deconstruct it, I'll always hand out the art supplies and get you to draw. So, and it's not about being a great artist, it's about art is the language of the soul. So, inviting your soul to express what that story has stirred up for you. And then we scry into that art to read that art like an oracle. So, that's just a bit of a taste. We'll also, as I said, be doing a tea and tarot session with my dear sister, soul sister from Australia, Janice, who's coming over. And she created, when she ended her marriage, she lost her friendship group. And so she thought, oh, there must be a lot of other women that experience that alienation. Um, and she created a social network, which sounds like an online thing, but it isn't, of, gosh, hundreds of women in the Byron Bay area called Kindred Women. And so when I was living with her, we'd go to the movie nights and have dinner, but they do astrology classes, tarot, like lots of different, art classes, music classes. So she leads the tea and tarot groups there. So this is, in the mage or the magus phase, that's also known as the enchantress, but it's the male equivalent is the magi. So the three wise men in the Bible were magis. The term is from Persia and it's the magician, the sacred magician. So this is the life stage when we access our mystic gifts, where they open up, which is why traditionally it was the age of 40 you were allowed to study the Kabbalah. So, this is when all of this is opening up and it's more accessible. So we want to hone our intuition through, the arts of divination. So, sisterhood is also a big part of this journey, this event. Um, I've facilitated sharing circles for 28 years. It is a profound community practice. You can think you've got your shit together if you live alone with your cat, and then you go home for Christmas and it's like, oh, still get triggered. Oops. Although I've got to say, I don't these days. And that's the payoff we get for all the self-help books and workshops we've attended over the years, that you get less triggered. But the point is, we when we're held by by a facilitated circle, we can go deeper. Stuff just comes up because we feel safe. I know I go on much deeper visions between the worlds when I've got a circle holding me. And I was in a women's circle 2 weeks ago, and we had shared visions during the meditations. So, and we could even hear the chanting and the drumming of the Native Americans that I was seeing in my vision. The other women could hear them. So, it's very powerful when we come together, especially now when the veils are thinning between the dimensions. We'll also be doing a rite of passage ceremony because, ceremony or ritual, it's it was in all ancient cultures, they understood ritual as how we process change. And the reason for that is it anchors into our somatic body. I can do this. And so when we've done a ritual to embody the new, we can then go back and embody it in our lives. So we will be doing a rite of passage ceremony to embody the queen, the matriarch, the mage, the priestess, yeah, the magical woman. This is a woman who is attaining her personal power. The Native Americans said at 50, a woman attained her power. So everything is a practice for this moment, which usually coincides with our final 13 moons. So I'm also going to include an online reunion sisterhood circle a month after the event, just so we can, um, yeah, debrief about what our integration journey has been like going back. Because often there's the incredible intensive, and then people can feel a bit isolated and alone. So I also learnt many, many years ago. So I've been leading retreats for 24 years, and I learnt the hard way you don't schedule things in the evening. Yeah, that time when the moon rises, that's downtime. That's time to just decompress. So during the days, um, that's when we have our focus time. And there's a balance. There's a balance of experiential learning, social time to just laugh and fill our senses with fun and pleasure. We've got some great things planned, and downtime. So, I encourage you to bring your journal, and yeah, there's lots of little nooks. You can just go and watch the sunset. There's a bird sanctuary nearby, a wetlands that has like a walkway all around it. So, we're at an age where we do need more downtime. We need more processing time, more headspace. So that's certainly factored in. There's also, you know, um, things to really honor the body, because our nervous system becomes more easily elevated in midlife. And there's reasons for that, which I'll go into. But um, one of the things Bali does best is pampering. So, there's places on the island in our spare time where you can wander off and get a full body scrub or a mask with all natural ingredients, right on the beach. But included is a full body massage and, of course, daily yoga, which is the best way to regulate the sleep hormone, and daily meditation as well to help regulate our nervous system. So, we've got excursions. So we'll be hiring a private boat, which will include snorkel hire and underwater cameras to view this incredible underwater gallery. I can't remember the name of the French artist, the sculptor, but these are just world-class statues. You can see one of them on the screen. There's also another excursion over to Lombok to bathe in the most spectacular waterfall I've ever seen. And waterfalls are my church. When I see a waterfall, I've embarrassed my family before just taking my clothes off like a woman possessed and walking like a zombie into communing with that. It's the best way to cleanse your aura, your energy field. I will keep my clothes on, just if you're nervous about that, I'll wear a swimsuit. But, um, you know, this waterfall is phenomenal. It's many waterfalls in the one. And of course, that experience of swimming with the tropical fish just straight off the beach at Gili Meno, that's included as well. We've also got some fun social activities planned. So I don't know if you know David Hasselhoff from the 80s TV show Knight Rider and then Baywatch, but he's bought and developed this big, beach club called Basque. And I contacted them, and we can get a table, um, and yeah, go and have an a la carte dinner. And so I've kind of said there on the retreat page, pack your caftan, your resort wear, and we'll go out for a night of dancing, dinner and dancing. Also, when I was there in 2018, I was thrilled to see you could buy fireworks from all these stands, street stalls on Lombok. So I bought fireworks, and the local guys helped create a bonfire. When I say help, they did all the work, bless them, and lit the fireworks for us. Not like Australia where there's so many rules, you're not allowed to, you know, just do bonfire and fireworks on the beach. So that'll be our last night under the stars. There's also on the island, even though it's such a small island, you could walk around it in 90 minutes. There's live music at different venues. There's even an outdoor cinema. So, yeah, and also beach time just to, suck down a coconut, soak up the sun, have a swim. So, yeah. So, what the retreat includes, apart from all those things, is 7 nights accommodation. That's where we'll be staying. It's rustic, but it's natural. It's very open air, although the rooms are air conditioned. And we'll be convening one night on the mainland in Kuta in a hotel, just so we've got all of our ducks in the nest, so to speak, before we travel to the ferry the next morning by a private charter. And then we spend 6 nights on Gili Meno, which is our island venue. And there's different options. So the price of the retreat, it depends on the room option. So if you want your own room, you can have that, although, there's limited numbers of private rooms. There's also twin share or triple share rooms so that it makes it more accessible for different budgets. In terms of meals, so I'm big on supporting the local economy. I remember years ago I went to Jamaica and stayed at a resort that was all inclusive, and it was owned by an LA eye surgeon. And when we ventured out, the local restaurants could only afford to stock one meal. And it really hit me. And I went, right, I don't ever want to do stuff that's just all inclusive. We want to support the local economy. And it's great to go and eat the local cuisine, I mean, you can also get Western food. So we've got a daily buffet breakfast, which, I mean, the tropical fruits on Bali, oh, divine. But yeah, I'm big on grains to keep, my bowels moving so I feel happy. So we'll have whole grains every day, as well as, eggs and toast and whatnot as an option. We'll also have a daily vegetarian buffet. So that will either be for dinner or lunch, depending on our activities each day. And it will include bottled water, tea, and snacks. But we'll go out for one meal a day. Also, so we don't get cabin fever. We will cater to dietary requirements, which is why we ask everyone to complete a registration form that's quite detailed when you register so that we've got all that info. So what it doesn't include when we go and dine out, so that will be when we're in transit, so the first night out and the following morning, and also when we're on the island, one meal a day. So, yeah, but Bali is cheap. So, you know, you'll be able to get a meal for, I'd say, $10 US, 15 tops, including a drink. Travel expenses, they're your own. So your flights to Bali, just because of the times that we're living in, you know, I don't trust the globalists as far as I could throw them. So, when it came to booking my flight, I paid, I think it was $70 extra to have the option with Singapore Airlines to be able to change the dates if anything would happen. For an extra fee, it was £101 if I should need to change the date. So I do recommend that because I've put in the terms and conditions for whatever reason, if we had to reschedule it, then it's transferable to the new date. And if you can't make that date, I think there's a refund of a certain percentage. Anyway, you'll need to check the TNC. It's a while since I wrote them. In terms of visas, that's for you to pay on arrival at the airport. You can pay, it's 35 US. You can just use your debit or credit card to pay. You don't have to have US dollars on you. Um, I do recommend travel insurance. You just never know. It's peace of mind. You can usually get it when you book your flight. Or, I know in Australia it's often quite competitively priced with Australia Post. I used to get my travel insurance through them. Your transfers, which is getting picked up from the airport and taken back to the airport, $15 US each way, which is 300 Indonesian rupiah. I have a lovely driver, Kadak. He's been my driver since, gosh, I'd say at least 8 years. He speaks perfect English. He's a lovely family man. Just beautiful, beautiful man. I love to support him and his family. So once we have your flight details, I can pass them on to him. So you don't have to organise that. And he'll be there waiting there with your name on a sign. And it means we can advise him of anyone who's coming in around the same time. So you can carpool and it might even be cheaper. I don't know. But um, yeah, so while you'll need to cover the cost, we can organise the driver. Same with the ferry. So from the mainland to Gili Meno, we'll be getting a fast boat, a reputable one, because there was a boat accident. I think it was earlier this year, that got a lot of media coverage. So just want to reassure you, we'll be making sure we get, the most reputable service provider. But because we're a group, we can get a group discount. So that's 42 US each way. And yeah, any additional meals. Oh, there we go, only 5 to 10 US. So that's cheap as chips. So getting there, you'll want to book your flight to Denpasar Airport. Um, what's the name of the airport? I can't, Nigua or Rai or something.
Nukudarai, Nukudarai International
Nigua.
Airport. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So really important you send us your flight details as soon as you've booked to admin@themoonwoman.com and complete that registration form. Our check-in time in Kuta on the mainland at that hotel the first night is 2 p.m. So I'd encourage you to maybe get a flight, around that arrives, if you can, around 1 o'clock. That way, you can clear passport control, customs, change some money, get a SIM card at the airport, meet the driver, and check in. So you've got beach time for a few hours before our welcome dinner at 6 o'clock. So whether or not you want to have a swim at the hotel or go to the beach or a bit of shopping or go and have a massage to ground after your flight. But yeah, and it's also good to arrive in the afternoon because in terms of jet lag, the rule of thumb is if you can keep your eyes open until sundown, then you get in the rhythm of the new time zone much more easily. I highly recommend getting some melatonin capsules. In Australia, you need a prescription from a doctor. You can just say, I'm having trouble sleeping. They're all natural. It just signals to the brain that you've had enough sunlight for the day, so it helps you to sleep. So, I know in Morocco I could buy them over the counter. So in some countries you can buy them over the counter, but it's great just to take one the night that you arrive in a new time zone to help your body regulate. Um, Departure, book your flight again from Denpasar, um, but make sure it's an evening flight on the 2nd of October because on that day we will be traveling back to the mainland by ferry, and then it's another 90 minutes drive back to the airport. So given that you need to arrive 3 hours before your flight, you want to give yourself as much time and space to not feel rushed, to allow for the unexpected. So these are my suggestions for exploring Bali. Basically, what my advice would be, if you haven't been to Bali before, and maybe even if you have, to consider putting 3 nights in Ubud on the itinerary, whether that's before or after, because a lot of the activities, because Ubud was my home, that's, what I know best. I mean, you might want to go to the north and see the black sand beaches in Lavina or Ahmed, but these are my kind of picks. So to go and see a traditional fire dance performance, to see the women in their traditional clothes and to do the Balinese dance, it's using a lot of mask, um, incredible, you know, costumes, and they play the gamelan. But it's traditional to go and visit the water temple when you arrive in Bali for cleansing your energy field. But if you are going, personally, I don't drink the water, but there's different spouts for different chakras, different energy centers. So it's like a ceremonial bathing, but do go early in the morning, even before the official opening time if you want to have a more sacred experience. Also, there's so many little spas. You can have the flower bath, which was a royal Balinese bathing ritual, and there's a lot of Ayurvedic treatments you can have. There's an Ayurvedic clinic which is very, very good. It is expensive. They charge in USD, but there's many sort of Ayurvedic pampering spas that, charge in local rupiah. But yeah, body masks, scrubs, facials. I just personally wouldn't get a pedicure or a manicure because twice when I did, I got toe fungus and it was $300 each time to get laser to get rid of it. So that's my just personal, wouldn't risk that again. There's a traditional healer that I saw last time I was in Ubud who is quite a character, but he's profound. Hurts like hell, but my gosh, he can shift blocks in your nadis, those 73,000 energy meridians in the body. So if you feel like you need a healing, I'll certainly be going to him again. There's also incredible artisans and craftspeople around Ubud, silversmiths, wood carvers, stone carvers, textile artists. So there are tours where you can visit their workshops and buy directly off the artisans, and beautiful sacred art, goddess statues, sacred geometry designs. Yeah, I did this Balinese cooking class with my daughter many years ago, and my then partner, bless him, who's crossed to the other side at Casaluna. So it's a cooking school using all sort of traditional, natural, seasonal foods. Um, Visiting a luwak coffee plantation. This is the most prized coffee in the world. But what I love about going to these is you really see how Bali is so rich. It's like a food bowl. So seeing cinnamon, they just rip the bark off the tree, and cacao growing, and it's so fecund, it's like the Gaia conscious there, it's like she's pulsating, she's growing, it's jungle. So and of course you can taste all the different teas and coffees. And on the same day, that's around where all the sort of famous Balinese rice paddies are with the tiered farming, which look absolutely beautiful. Ubud's also where the monkey forest is. Definitely don't have any food in your bag. Um, they can smell it, even if it's in packaging. And I once was sitting outside and had an ice cream and didn't have the ice cream for very long. But you know, it's I love monkeys. Hanuman, the monkey god, his energy is definitely there. They have temples in it. So yeah, lovely to go and visit the monkeys. And thank you, Priya, for telling me that this is actually another live volcano. I was not even aware of that. But there's hot springs, there's a lake, there's a temple. So this is north of Ubud. Ubud's further north than where we'll be that first night in Kuta, heading towards the more mountainous region. The word Ubud means medicine. So in Bali, they believe, that the mountainous areas are closer to the gods. So they kind of leave the beach areas to the tourists. Um, However, Seminyak, if you want to do some serious shopping, I mean, they have lovely markets in Ubud, but this particular designer, Biasa, I don't wear designer clothes, but in 2018, I bought two things from this store, which are what I wear if I go to a wedding or have a photo shoot. They're beautiful, so well made, and just truly special, and they fit well. So they have designer resort wear and jewelry and soft furnishings in Seminyak. They also have a lot of, high rise resorts that are competitively priced. So if you just want to chill and have beach time and go out and have nice meals, great cafes and restaurants, you might want to spend a couple of nights in Seminyak. Canggu used to be great, but now there's too many people, so I wouldn't actually recommend Canggu. Priya, is there anywhere or anything on that list that I've missed that you'd go, oh, you want to do this if you go to Bali? Because Priya's living there.
Uluwatu would be a good beach time. Great beaches in Uluwatu.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
of course, there's the
And
water temple there, isn't there?
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I think pretty much you covered everything for
Okay.
a holiday.
Yay. Good. So, and again, my driver, Kadak, can take you. So, it may be, let us know if you're planning to spend a few days in Bali, either side of the retreat, because it might be if you're coming alone, you might want to go to check out some of these things with some of the women from the retreat afterwards. So, yeah, let us know. Travel tips. I would say bring cash. So, in your local currency, because it's always easy to change cash. Um, if you're using your card at an international ATM, they will slug you for bank fees. So I know my Australian bank charges me $5 every time I do a withdrawal. Oh, excuse me. So I now have a Wise card, Wise and Revolut. If you can get a debit card with them, you won't pay international bank fees. So they're far more traveller friendly. And you basically just transfer money from your bank account into your Wise or Revolut and load that card. Yeah. So, there have been ATM scams. So I remember there was one pharmacy that I used, and then they tried to take money, you know, and the bank's pretty quick to spot things like that, and they didn't get any money out of my account. But yeah, if you can bring cash, that's preferable. Um, I advise you to get a local SIM card at the airport. There's booths there and they'll put it in for you. Um, just because it will be much cheaper than international roaming on your usual SIM card. Just be very careful. that your little sim, you bring a container or, like a sweets tin or something, you can keep it in a safe place so you don't lose it. So when you go back to your country, you can put it back in when you get off the plane. Do not bring CBD products, no cannabis oil products to Bali, even if they're THC free. Their drug laws are so harsh. There was a woman that apparently did go to jail for bringing in CBD oil. I don't know if she spent long in jail, but you don't need that. So, yeah, I won't be bringing the CBD oil to Bali. They also don't like you bringing vibrators in. So, just I'm sure we can go a week without, especially if you're in a triple share room. So, yeah, um, no sex toys. Um, do pack some natural sunscreen. Um, the other ones are carcinogenic. You can get a lovely natural insect repellent in Bali. It smells divine and it does work. Um, and now my menopause brain is kicking in. Priya, can you help me remember the name of the brand? They do incense as well. Oh, Uttama Spice. Yeah, Uttama Spice.
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. It's with the must spice.
they have the most divine natural incense as well. Um, do not brush your teeth or drink the local water. Okay, really, really important. We will provide bottled water on site, but yeah, it can, in a moment, you can be like, oh no, I forgot. So, yeah, if you do change your toothbrush, do take a probiotic before you come and bring some with you. You can get SB Travelers probiotics from your chemist. So, what you'll gain basically support to navigate change. Change is growth. And if we don't have support, we stagnate, or we experience change as stressful, we procrastinate. So you're going to be guided through a structured program with others that are facing the same issues. So together we can address the questions that everybody's dealing with, the challenges that alone can feel isolating and overwhelming. But with the right support, we can then move forwards with confidence. It's an 8-day program. It's going to give you quality time to reconnect with your soul and to realign with your deepest values and desires and to identify, what's your passion and purpose now? Because our passion and purpose changes in each life stage. So I'll be taking you through a process to review that and update your passion and purpose. I know it's changed for me, you know, so that you have a clear vision for this chapter, this life chapter. And it helps you to release the old patterns so that you are receptive to new opportunities. Often it's hard to see our patterns, but the beauty of having someone outside of ourselves reflect that back means that we can not be our own worst enemy and to get fresh inspiration and motivation to make your dream life a reality and also have that support as an ongoing, online Facebook group of women that have journeyed this together. So, with anything, I encourage you not to make a decision with your mind, but with your body. So, I invite you just to take a moment now at the end of hearing all of that information to just close your eyes and go into your body. You might want to take a deep breath. Just to let go of all the mind info, all the headiness. And just come into your body. Do a somatic scan. Notice what's present in you in this moment, how you're feeling. Notice if there's any pockets of tension in your body and just breathe into those and let them go, maybe on an audible sigh or a moan. It's good to release on sound like a birthing woman Ah. And with each sigh, we go deeper, we drop in. Ah. And one more. Ah. That's why we like sex so much. Helps us come back into our bodies, releasing tension. Same with yoga. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I just want you to notice how your body responds. Okay. First, are you feeling a need? Is there a need? Is your body needing to clear out your emotional closet from the last two life chapters, your maiden chapter, your mother chapter, whether you physically mothered, maybe you mothered projects or clients, pets, family members, neighbours? Is there a need to clear out some space to process what was? Just notice if your body says yes. And a yes is often a feeling of expansion, a feeling of relaxation, a feeling of relief. And a no is often a contraction, an elevation in your nervous system, fear. Second, does your body say yes to embracing the freedom to explore your passion and potential for this next chapter? Do you get a yes to exploring your passion, your purpose, and your potential? Or do you get a no? Do you get a contraction? Next question. How does your body respond to the idea of taking time out to recharge and redefine what midlife means to you? Because often, whether we know it or not, we've taken on some of the societal prejudices or expectations around aging, and that can be sitting in our subconscious. Just notice, do you get a yes in your body or a no to the idea of taking time out to recharge and redefine what this life chapter is for you? And finally, what does your body say to reconnecting with the woman that you've dreamed of becoming, the unrealized parts, the untapped potential? So that's not for you to respond to, but just to sit with. Yeah, it's a deeply personal decision. You'll know if you're called. And if you're called, then you can guarantee there will be serendipitous synchronicities with who else is called to be in this circle, to journey this together at this time. Yeah, people that you've known in other lifetimes, people that are beautiful mirrors, teachers for you at this moment. So if you are feeling like, yes, I'm in, yes, great, then I've got a special bonus, which is the first 3 women that book within 24 hours of watching this discovery call. I will gift you a reading. And that's either tarot or a feminine archetype reading, your choice. These aren't cheap, and it's because I give a lot. Just talking for an hour, I lose a lot of energy out of my throat, so I often find my glands are up at the end. So I don't do many readings these days. But yeah, I wanted to include this as a special offer for people that attend these calls to go, yep, okay, I'm in. Just know that the readings will happen after the retreat because I'm currently booked to do so many live events. I don't have capacity before the retreat, so I need to be realistic about my energy levels, which is part of midlife. um, but yeah, so that will help with the integration after the retreat. So that's everything. I'd now like to throw it open to any questions. We've got Becky here with us live. So after listening to all of that, do you have any questions? And they might be questions that others watching the recording go, oh, I'd like to ask that. So yeah, there is no silly question. I'll need you to unmute, lovely. Thanks.
Helps, doesn't it? No, I found it quite comprehensive. You've given a lot of information. You mainly covered the practical things that I was going to ask,
Oh,
um,
cool.
where to go and what's around there, and you definitely covered everything that I potentially was wanting to know.
Yay.
Um, yeah, I don't think I have any questions.
Well, that's good because I see I've gone past the hour. So, um, yeah, that's great. Priya, you wanted to say something, lovely?
Anyone that has already booked or going to book, the registration form, I think, contains the health concerns or any of your movement concerns. If I've been trained and supported uh, to give support and hold and yeah, for anyone who is gone through any kind of accidents with their body or any weak spots or any surgeries, if you have any conditions, if you fill the form, I would be planning the program specifically for each person who has gone through any kind of movement disabilities. Yeah.
Thank you, because it's so true. We all have different, you know, there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
And the more, yeah, info you have, the more it can be
Yeah.
tailored. Thank you. Yeah, lovely. Yeah. And also, there's mental health questions in there as well. It's like we're all the walking wounded. We all have a story behind us. And
Yeah.
the more that we know, the more we
Yeah.
can.
Tailor it to each specific person. Yeah.
Thank you. Lovely. So, any of you that are listening to the recording, if you do have questions after watching this, please reach out. Email Lynn at admin@themoonwoman.com and she'll refer that on to myself and Priya so you can ask questions of us. And yeah, we can help you to make an informed decision. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. You have my blessing if you want to share this, if you have a friend who's thinking about booking with you and you want to share this recording with them, you can. So yeah, I'll upload it on YouTube and I'm even going to put the link so it's accessible to people on the retreat page. So thanks for your time. And thank you, Becky, for being here live. It was lovely to have you here with us. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you, Becky, and whoever else is listening to meeting you in Bali. Yeah, and sharing our love of Bali with you as well. Okay, see you. Thanks so much.